So again, set our motivation to do whatever we possibly can to attain the peerless state of enlightenment. And we do that by being able to understand, gain understanding, perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. We can only do that by gaining a good understanding of what those trainings are, and we do this independent upon a non-mistaken text. And with this in mind, we are here to listen to a brief explanation on the outlines of the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, as composed by the great Lama Tsongkhapa. Dire gyatang dunju dokshi ochi laktong
subject le la chute
Handrika
l'obten le la chute
the easiest part of the text. Joking. So we arrived at wisdom. So we have for some time been looking through the outlines of the topic of meditative concentration, meditative serenity, and how to give rise to that, how to generate that, how to cultivate that, and indeed extensive instructions on how to gain fully qualified meditative serenity. But it is very clear that without combining that with the insight, wisdom of insight, we will not be capable of attaining liberation from cyclic existence. And that in itself, the subject matter of meditative concentration is held in common with other traditions as well, namely different traditions within the Hindu tradition. And so in that respect, it's kind of got a commonality. But without it on its own will not lead to liberation from cyclic existence. And therefore we must seek out and identify the root cause of cyclic existence, and thereafter seek to abandon or overcome that root cause. And we can only do that by the combination of meditative serenity and meditative insight.
Dede yinba yinsa ta kasa de je kaso de ta kanja je ro ta je sanje yo sonra le ene nye tyon da tang dyos yong yu tang ne kya ba yong yu de tang ne kya ba yong de ane je nye tyon ge tang de ge ya wa de ane je kaso ta kanja je kaso je 동네 도에 싫어 된제 조어지는 때마다 메드 구조에 최 된제 조어진 때마다 ene tang dyon chen wada tindaske yawa yonte kasa tindaske yonte yore wada tindaske kacha 동네 데이터 로다 동네 데이터 쉽게 개치 못 찾게 열어 데네자 공가보라 ene 상교 좀 되게 산제가 최셔바도 좀 냠나냐 대산 내가 지금 말했어 다 시정도 도대로 뭐 되냐 봐이나다 되게 말했어 시정도 도대로 뭐지 시정 싫어 버리는 집에다 흉지 좀 산제가 되냐나 되게 말했지 다 보야 보다 오랬어 디 요바 가마 요바 있더라 나는 가 요랬어 상교 좀 되게 요랬어 아니 시정도 도대로 뭐지 도대로 뭐지 선다 딱 가자 제가 시정도 흉대로 왔다 가서 개동바당 시라님보다 아니 가서를 한다 디 가서데 봄당 쇼르가 봄지어도 봄당 아니 니치당 디게들 시정도 도대로 붙였으기로 다 시정도 도대로 붙여 가봐 요바이나 띵가 요랬어 아니 데네 이제 시정도 도대로 붙다 보야고죠 아니 제 데로 럭종체 근데 이게 티 아니 데가 쳐봐표 아니 데가봐 요바도 가 요랬어 띵에 고사피어 숨고 요바 어떻게 되시지 산제가 최 셔바도 좀 냐바 있네 다최 타야 봐 셔바도 좀 냐바 있네 시래게 말았어 다 띵 냐바 있네 지금 말았어
디 상계 좀 된데 뭐들이 공가볼라
그래요
And this is why the kind of the importance of the wisdom insight is demonstrated by this division of the classification of the Buddha's teachings into those that are definitive and those that are provisional, and that those that are definitive have as their subject matter like the conventional or ultimate truth or the topic of emptiness, and those that are provisional have as their main subject matter conventional truth. And so this shows how crucial the subject matter of emptiness is, and in particular the sutras in which that subject matter is disseminated and discussed, namely the Prajnaparamita or Perfection of Wisdom sutras. And this has been pointed out by Buddha himself in speaking to Ananda, saying that should in the future others of my teachings degenerate and decline, that's one issue. However, if the teachings of the Perfection of Wisdom sutras were to disappear, that would be quite disastrous. It's so important that they are well preserved, and that so we're talking about here the sutra of the 100,000 stanzas or the 25,000 stanzas, the Perfection of Wisdom sutra, etc. All of these are included in the Prajnaparamita canon or Perfection of Wisdom sutras. And so anywhere that the Buddha says, anywhere where these sutras are written about, studied, discussed, where offerings are made to them, where they are people are in training in trying to assimilate those sutras, there also will be mine. I will also be there. So this is how much importance the Buddha himself placed upon these sutras.
我就점점 부터 relax level relax 이제 수다를 돼서 시작 동나 지금 뭐다 또 취마시 다 된거야 봐. 그래서 다 relax 오래 되다. 오래 되다.
So again, this is like sometimes we place so much importance on external relics and really kind of like show great devotion and faith towards an external relic, whereas maybe we don't pay enough attention to the sutras, which in my mind are the true relics of the Buddha, and that these should be held as the true relics. And so yes, and this is why we recite the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra regularly, and many of us have memorized that and do that on a regular basis, and this shows how important this particular relic is.
시제가 도대로 뭐 조자되다 최탐제가 라시 타도 되고 요라다 맞아 최탐제가 라시 타도 마신 거 온기 에는 코알이 참 되고 요 코알이 참 되고 코알이 참에 규디 가리 잡아서 최탐제 라시 마신 맞지 에는 몸배 온기 코알이 좀 되고 요라
So that and this also shows the kind of incredible importance of the entire Perfection of Wisdom Sutra canon. In that they hold as their subject matter getting to the final status of all phenomena and getting to the root cause of a cyclic existence, and says it's only by being able to understand that, identify that, overcome that, that we can actually attain liberation from cyclic existence. So it has a very important purpose to play on the path.
살게 좀 되는 전부는 패고 좀서 소들이도 와. 좀서 소가 디 마시 봐 임바사. 셰 출로 강가라. 잠바 닝제 쇠바 강가라 누가.
And really, when we examine it, we can see that this is the main purpose for which the Shakyamuni Buddha came to this world, to be able to really reveal this doctrine on emptiness, in order for us to completely cut the root of cyclic existence, to overcome it, and not to be continually wandering in confused ignorance in cyclic existence. This is unique to the Buddha's teachings, and we can see in all other spiritual traditions there are extensive teachings on wisdom, on love, on compassion, etc. But this particular doctrine on emptiness is unique to Buddhism.
어디래도 왔다 다디서 시우지 개치 붙자도 되게 임바 인사 아니 지금 되게 돈다데 심바체 심바도는 강토도 냠내제 안 다가데 시즌가 도대를 뭐체 다 상부 동반이 때문에 아니 수다 되돌아 아니 구샵체 시구르체 되는 차도 추마피 어디래 전 다가제 내가 슈 차되기도 와 내가 슈 차되기도 와 어디래.
So therefore we really take it as an essential point to really gain as much understanding as we can of the content of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, to practice them, to show our respect, to make offerings, and to show our appreciation in every which way we can. This is really quite an important point. So the kind of the treatment of this particular topic on insight or special insight as composed by Lama Tsongkhapa is extremely extensive. What we will do is try to summarize it and to extract the essential points from it.
다들 람림 바이더스 마한테 기부 체부 거르송 안 대제다 신랑이데 제라 송고도 와. 다 남주 루규 제바이나 제를 붙인 거다 람림 마서 에 신랑 어디 이게 다 지금 남네 지금 근데 용 공부 차네. 아니 신랑 마송에 차시르지. 신랑 마좀에 공부 줘라. 은 잔지 잡에 다 녀바도 좀 줘. 이내 데 가서다 다 미간게도 남네 제도 요거 맞다. 이내 패도 용거리했어. 저도 용거리했어. 안디에서 강가 자주 자신 제 가서다 제를 붙여라. 지수 잡에 뭐서 시에스 위에서 아니 지수 잡에 오다 차장 신랑이데 차장 맞좀 줬어. 자주 나셔서 이래서 소스도 하다 손들이 연구도
And so the reason how this extensive presentation on insight came about is that originally when J. Rinpoche Lama Tsongkhapa was composing the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, his initial intention was to really complete after the meditative serenity section, not to to kind of like just to treat them together as the one topic, and not to engage in an extensive explanation of the latter. But since he had a continuous vision of Manjushri, it was Manjushri himself who advised Lama Tsongkhapa to give this extensive treatise, or this extensive treatment to the topic of insight at the end of the great treatise. And in that, if those who were living at that time weren't able to really assimilate the meaning, then there will be those who came afterwards who would appreciate it, and so that's how it came about. And so then this second of main outline is how to train in insight, and this has four main subsections, and they are showing the prerequisites for insight, 2, showing the classifications of insight, 3, how to meditate on insight, and 4, through a meditation, how to ascertain the measure of having established insight. And so the first of these is further divided into 3 subheadings, and they are 1, identify the scriptures of provisional and definitive meaning, 2, to really know the history of the commentary on Nagarjuna's intended meaning, and 3, how to determine the philosophical view of emptiness. And so the first of these that is identifies the scriptures of provisional and definitive meaning, and this is done by way of the subjects that they discuss. In other words, that the texts that discuss that teach the ultimate, or that teach the ultimate, are referred to as texts of definitive meaning, and those that teach the conventional are texts that of provisional meaning.
규맥에 지금 허브가 야와 체스나 대야 가부 요래 다디에서 규육은 그 천이 차회가 다 같이 지금 라마소라 지게다 못된 로아페나 로아 미 로아디 아 롱티 야부지를 떼지는 거 사체들 조국으로 와 로아스는 미 로아티게 미 로아티가 로아디 롱티지를 떼고 로아티 두게 지금 떼고 요러다 와다디 디나 지전에 다 같이 지금 뭐지 지금 장애가 소라 뭐마 저거디 아니 저 장애가 소라 지금 문에 전에 타치면 뭐 저거게다 계획신이 지금 다들 때어도다 때고도 다 고불루도 다 산지가 롱그 스바체는 다 같이 지금 로다 신도 소체니에서 고불루도 다 파바 토메니데다 지가소데 고불루도디 오마베 신데 소체 파바 토메데 셈자베 신데 소체체는 보다 다 코나주게 아니 지금 가서다 쇼라 때문에 아니 게 많이 고소로 찾도 와 어떻게 찾
And so this is not a minor issue. We need to be able to distinguish between these teachings or texts of provisional and of definitive meaning. And if we can't, then our understanding of insight will be incomplete. So it's very, very important for us as beginners to be able to kind of really make this distinction. And it is in a way like we're starting out like a blind person who doesn't know the path and needs a guide to be able to lead them safely on. And so that is a fully qualified teacher. And in this sense, it is embodied by Master Nagarjuna, and who was indeed prophesied by the Buddha himself. And the two great disseminators of Nagarjuna and Arya Asanga, the former, who was disseminating the Madhyamika point of view in terms of the nature of reality, and Arya Asanga, who was connected to the mind only, or the Chittamatran point of view.
루두기다 로마 조저라 파발라네 로베스 파발라네서 로베 상게자다 로베 레텐자다 다와타바다 시와초라 소베 오마바 치본나게자 로베다 타워스다 파발라데 콤보 루두다 타워쳤다 타워 사마르심베 야세니라 오마바나게 쿵이 비치 나라바나게서 니라 슝친고 오마바다 고라니라 슝친고 오마바 셰나라 초츠베 오마바 슈데스 초츠베 오마 셰타니체 도체.
So the second of these outlines is then looking at the history of the commentary on Nagarjuna's intended meaning. And we're looking at Nagarjuna here because, of course, Nagarjuna is the one who disseminated the Madhyamika or middle way point of view. And so here it's saying that all the kind of like the texts, such as the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, which point out that all phenomena are without any inherent production or cessation, etc. And the flawless commentary on these sutras is attributed to the great Nagarjuna. And thereafter, those that have commentated on the thought of Nagarjuna, the great known as the great middle way masters, and they include, of course, Aryadeva, Buddha Palita, Bhava Viveka, Chandakirti, and Shantarakshita. And they, in turn, really hold Aryadeva as the heart disciple of Nagarjuna, as authoritative as Nagarjuna himself, and they are both seen as a father and son of the Madhyamika lineage and sources of the other Madhyamikas. And that so in the past, say earlier Tibetan scholars used the term for Nagarjuna and Aryadeva as the Madhyamikas of the fundamental texts, and then the others of that Madhyamika lineage as partisan Madhyamikas. And so then, like the kind of like potted history of what has come down to us now as the middle way view begins there with the work of Arya Nagarjuna in really classifying and this and really how do you say collating all of the teachings of the Buddha on the particular topic of the true nature of reality, emptiness, and so on, and writing texts such as the fundamental treatise on wisdom, or the root of wisdom that it is called, and that has become a seminal text in this subject. And from that text and the other teachings of Nagarjuna, then Buddha Palita in later centuries created his commentary on what he thought was the thought of Nagarjuna, what he was really getting at in these texts. And then shortly after that, Buddha Palita's text was criticized by another great scholar called Bhava Viveka. And so he picked out points that he disagreed with and contradicted what he thought was the true meaning of what Nagarjuna intended. And so over some time a debate arose based on the thinking and the commentaries of these two great masters, out of which came what is now known as the Madhyamika Svatantrika point of view, or the autonomous middle way point of view. And then in later centuries, the great master Chandrakirti, he then started to re-examine this debate, going back to Nagarjuna, Buddha Palita, and Bhava Viveka, and he started to use, through his own really quite incisive reasoning, to take in all the different points of conflict. And he came down on the side of Buddha Palita, and he criticized Bhava Viveka, and saying actually Buddha Palita had the correct thought of Nagarjuna. And so from that arose what we now know as the Prasangika Madhyamika, or the consequentialist middle way point of view. So we can see that from, though they all are Madhyamikas, that we can see that there are two kind of lineages really coming down from Nagarjuna in terms of the subtleties and differences that they see in each other.
So some tawa to short tawa storage. What is it? That lobby later to dot the tawa to my say you picture. And that the Casate lobby she was all. So some tawa to my chicken and umetawa tell about the chick check. And got that but the daughter Tata, Sandy down Konazu, and the country get away to it, and umetawa tell about the or what I would have.
And so that's so therefore we have on the one side the kind of like the autonomous middle way point of view, and then also the consequentialist middle way point of view. So underneath this kind of a banner of the autonomous point of view, also that is has two sub schools as well, and one is known as the Sutantrika autonomous point of view, and they because they have a predilection for the self as described in that tenet school, the Sutantrika tenet school. And then we have the mind only autonomous point of view, because they have a predilection for the self as described in the mind only literature. And so, for example, Bhava Viveka would be the one who is the champion of the Sutantrika autonomous Madhyamika, and Shantarikshita would be one who is asserting the mind-only autonomous Madhyamika point of view, or middle way point of view. Whereas we have the Buddha Palita, we have Chandrakirti, etc., who are the Prasangikas, the consequentialist middle way point of view.
우메 따와 또야래 개와 요구요래 다 어디에 제바네 각자 디용고도 데레 제바네 교 디용고도 딱 맞아 지금 가서 나지 교 차다 가서다 벌써다 교 차도 되기도 와. 딱 로다 그 지금 우메게 안에 지금 따와 용 우메 따와 가서 지금 가서는 꽤 막아 좀 못쳐 와라. 아니 되게 좀더 된다게 아니 켈렌티 딜라테네 아니 우메 따와 and the Gurja said to it. Gurja said, Umeta Puta was in Yabani,
So, what is seen in this approach is the more and more kind of refining of the view of self and so on, as it becomes more and more refined through the different tenet systems. And so this pertains to, in terms of especially the autonomist middle way point of view and the consequentialist middle way point of view, concentrating on self and the object to be negated. And so here the faults of the other is pointed out, and a more and more subtle position is thereafter taken. So all within the context of the middle way viewpoint. So they're kind of somebody makes an assertion, and then the other can point out the contradiction in what that assertion is, in order to gain a more refined point of view, a more refined consequential point of view. And in this way, misunderstandings and faults are eradicated.
Mutiba so da ka che mutiba so imba kansa takpa chipo rawa was de da to go da di chipo rawa wa takpa chipo rawa was da dile ko chi pena jera ma wa tabo to de ba tabo imba da to ba kasa da kansa chipo rawa wa ana chipo da rawa wa da ana kaso de da ka cha takpa dile tongwa ji de to cha de so ina de ba tu ba kele go de ba ma tu me tu go tu de ba ina ya ka sa takpa ma de chipo ma ba de rawa ba ma de si de ya to si nyo ko so ro ta ka cha ji da do zima to shu chung de so 슈초는 다 어디에 저는 봐 이제 저 차다 두고 봐. 저도 번은 남백이 그래서 번은 가서 최고 동시 캘는 거로 뒤에 당제 미다 봐 사제들 도가 최다 저 동시 담에 양래 때 봐. 시와서 다음에 봤으는데 가사지 딱봐 라와 지고와 이 동에 동아지 캘는 거도 와. 그러면은 남배 콘 주면 또 남배 준다 막 임발 따와 가다가 차이 시켜는 거 봐.
So for example, so say a non-Buddhist tenet view might hold a person to have the following attributes: that the person is a permanent, that they are unitary or singular, and that they are an independent entity, self-supported or independent. So say from a particular Buddhist tenet viewpoint, for example, the Sautantrika viewpoint, they will refute those three different characteristics. They will say a person cannot be permanent, cannot be singular, cannot be independent or self-supporting. And so they would say that they are empty of having these characteristics. However, from the Sautantrika point of view, they will still assert that that person truly exists, because if they were to say that they didn't truly exist, they would have to conclude, for their understanding, that they didn't exist at all then. So they have this understanding of self, and that thereafter, as you get to more higher tenet viewpoints or more subtle views of the self, is seen to be a limited view of the self. So this is how one proceeds through different tenet views. You get a more and more subtle viewpoint, particularly as to the entity of self or self-entity. So this is in line really with when we think about the four seals of Buddhism, And that is, in one way, this is a kind of demarcation point where he's saying if you accept these four seals, then you can be counted as a Buddhist. If not, then you can't really count yourself as a Buddhist. And they are that all contaminated phenomena are suffering, all compounded phenomena are impermanent, that all phenomena lack any self, are selfless, and that nirvana is peace. And so this is another way of demarcating Buddhist, isn't it? That the Buddhist can be demarcated as, in terms of the view, which it comes in terms of those four seals, or in terms of their behavior, which when we have taken refuge and all that. And so when we go for refuge, when we accept the principles and tenets of the principles of refuge and so on, that's demarcating ourselves as Buddhists in terms of our behavior. And so that in terms of yes, so then the Buddhist can be asserted in terms of view and in terms of their behavior. So here we're looking at it in terms of viewpoint and the tenet views, and that these then become the issue at hand here is how each subsequent tenet view considers the concept of self and what they see as selfless. So from the point of view of, say, Vaibhashika school of tenets, or the Sautantrika view of tenets, as we have heard, that for them that a person is empty of being permanent, unitary, and independent is their selflessness. They see that as selfless. And so then, as these are what we call the lower tenet viewpoints, and then as you move up through the mind only and the middle way schools of tenets, and then the views of self and what is selfless become more and more subtle. And so from the point of view of the Prasangika, the consequentialists, let's say, they hold that all phenomena lack any kind of objective existence, that there is nothing that can qualify as having any true or objective existence. Even at the most subtle atomical level, phenomena lack any intrinsic, objective or inherent existence. Whereas from the mind-only point of view, they will say that we do not assert any external phenomena, but we do hold that all phenomena arise as from the mind only. And so for them, that if that mind is refuted in terms of being inherently existent, then that would lead to a nihilistic, non-existence of everything for them.
What did it do? That Ranjuba Tabu Yinan and Jaja Kalakaza Pin Udene to Topega Pata, you saw the two quite soon take it one. Ranjuba. Ranjuba, Udene Dostu. Debatuba Mares, Tinic to my research. That debatu was the Tinic to make Chabashagori. And you didn't toss to Jaja Kalakazato. Topega Pata, you saw the Yungus. You saw. You Topega, you didn't to Jen, you didn't Yungus.
So from the autonomous middle way point of view, they do hold that in some sense phenomena objectively exist, but that they also are imputed. So they have a foot in both camps. There's a little bit of it objectively existent, and we also impute kind of identity onto that. So, for example, they would agree with the consequentialists that phenomena lack any true existence, but they would differ with the consequentialists in saying that, that even though that is the case, phenomena are established in terms of their own characteristics.
That Debatuba Maris, in a rank Tinic to Maris. That thank you, Velola, Debatuba Senata, rank Tinic to the Garsina Masina, Debatuba Missibare, Yomaris, Tinic to my Mars. Because you didn't do Satu Koramaji took to us. That then they're around to what Chung said Yovaina, the Chung said Yovaina, that Gaso the Taka the revenue about goodness.
So the consequentialist view is that phenomena lack any true existence. So whether it's the terminology of true existence you're using or existing in terms of its own characteristics, it's the same. The phenomena lack any true or existence in terms of their own characteristics or inherent existence or objective existence, that they lack any such existence. If they were to in any way be established as you autonomists say, then they would have to be truly existent. They would have to be have an autonomy of their own. And so, since that is not seen to be the case, we refute that entirely. And so the next headline is how to determine the philosophical view of emptiness. And that this has itself two subheadings. One is that the first there, the stages of entry into reality and the actual determination of reality. So the first of these, that the entry, the stages of entry into reality. So here it says initially one must really develop a sense of disillusionment by contemplating all the faults and disadvantages of cyclic existence, to the point where one generates a genuine desire to get out of a cyclic existence. And so this is what thereafter propels one to really identify, search, seek and identify what the causes are, and particularly the root cause of cyclic existence is. And so it's saying that because if we do not overcome the cause, we will not be able to overcome cyclic existence itself. So when we see that, then we will really start to reflect on what the root cause of cyclic existence is, and we will set out to cut that root cause, which is this view of what's known as the perishable, or the view of ignorance. And so and to see how this acts as the root cause of cyclic existence and become absolutely convinced of that is very, very important, in order thereafter to develop the sincere wish to cut it, or to abandon, to overcome this root cause. And so this is very, very important. And thereafter, of course, we need to gain a good idea of what the self is as conceived by this view of the perishable, or this view of ignorance. And what is it really talking about? And so, and to understand that, we can develop the wisdom that will gain a realization of the selflessness of such a self as conceived like that. And that is, so therefore there's the process in place where we can cultivate that wisdom to do that. And that means we need to be able to see how it's necessary to refute that self, to gain that selflessness. So that has the kind of twin process of both contradicting the existence of such a self and proving its non-existence. We do that through scripture and through reasoning. And it's very important for anybody who is serious for really striving to attain liberation from cyclic existence, that they gain real, true conviction about this. In fact, it is said that this is indispensable for one striving to attain liberation.
거기 다 규매기매를 좋아 멤버들 그 뒤에 뭐도가 참석이야 지원도 동행이 봐야 동행도 참석이야 말이 동행들이 좋아지고 요 대화들이 좋아지고 요 거기 요아 대단들라 다운데 거기 규지가 다 쓰고 싶지래 규지가 쓰고 싶다 다 규디 가래 봐제 지원도 제 정도 아니 야야 대원도 다 야야 대원도 다 배는 치와 소리자 치와다 아니 소소를 체디 개가 나치라 소바 동네들이 야야 대도 그 개와다 투테도 와 개와대 야야 대도 아니 개왕가 마서 가서 년삼 잡아지라 투테 년삼 대대 개와리 년삼 잡아대 가봐 투대도였어도 뭐 쇠다바들 투테 쇠다바대 가봐 투대고서 야야 대원도 아니 그 남자기다 바자 그래서 레사바대다 레사와도 남자도 바자샤와 가서서 다 독숨을 꾸내 나와 독숨을 꾸내 나오는데 야투한테 다 말이 배꾸내 나네 다 말이 배꾸내 나오는데 그 장단을 놓게 것도 와 말이 배꾸내 나나 말이 받지 다 말이 받으라다 말이 받자 말이다 다도 죽었네 다 마리파티 다도 주바데 마리파티라 때네 용부여로 무역이 내서 마치 받들는 용한테는 다도 주바지 유대는 주봤나 나왔다도지 나왔다는 차단을 놓게 내사 용한테도 용한테도 다되네 다 유대는 주바데 다 그래서 다도 주바데 심발 때문에 다도 주바데 다 유다 메스 다 제조가 잡아러 왔다 다도 좀 하거나 여봐이나 아니 다도 좀 하고 제주네 아니 거 여다메 제주네 아니 거 제주인데 다 거다 제주인데 거 다베 제주 다 거다 가수람 네 다도 좀 하는데 다도 좀 이봐이나 거 제주인데 거 니고 그래 再做的你过个的再做上的你个要嘛的，你个要嘛的，我这。
So the key point in all of this is that we are what's necessary is to identify the root of cyclic existence, and to kind of examine from all of our own experience. Whether our sojourn in cyclic existence, all of what happens to us in this reality is something that arises in terms of causes and conditions, or is it something that is causeless, completely chaotic? And so when we look at our experience, how sometimes we experience suffering, sometimes we experience happiness, it shows its causal source, and that actually these various experiences arise from their various causes. And we can then examine the process of how these causes interject with our life experience right up to our death, and the process of our continual birth, new birth, conception, leading to that birth, arising from karmas that in turn are laid down as imprints on our mind stream, which have been initiated by craving, grasping, and ignorance, and that at the heart of those three poisonous attitudes is this ignorance. And what this ignorance is sort of that which holds to an idea of a self-entity that is truly established, and that is really a separate entity. And from that arises these our reactions to the world, really, in terms of attachment and aversion. And so that and that sort of in turn is, it solidifies this notion of the self as being truly established, and that phenomena being objectively existent. And so it's this reaction on the basis of these misunderstandings that further then lay down karmas again, imprints onto the mind again, leading to death again, rebirth again, and so on. That is the proposition that leads us continually to wander in cyclic existence. Now our job is to analyze and really see whether such a self, this conception of self, whether it exists or not. And it behoves us to actually search for, analyze whether this notion, this conception of self really exists. And the proposition is that when we actually analyze for it, we do not find it to exist like that. And so that therefore we do not find this self that appears to have this a really self-established kind of intrinsic nature to it, and then the conclusion that might come is that it is a non-existent. But we know that that also doesn't ring true, because I have this feeling of me, of some sort of idea, notion of self. It's something that from my own experience I can verify. So then the issue becomes, how do we establish that existence? In what way does that self exist? And from the way in which then that self exists, and the way that self should be apprehended, from the point of view of the consequentialist mind, consequentialist middle way view, is that the self is something that is merely imputed by thought, by conception. And so they say that this concept of the self that is merely imputed by thought is valid. It is allowable as the one who experiences happiness, as the one who experiences suffering, as the one who strives to liberate themselves from cyclic existence, and the one who is striving to attain liberation. The experiencer of these experiences is valid as being proposed as being merely imputed by thought. So on the other hand, where other tenet schools might point out that there is a self that is something that is self-powered, that is self-established in some way, that from the consequentialist viewpoint, that is an absurd assertion, because from their understanding, if a self is self-powered, self-established, it isn't possible for change to happen. And that they are kind of like almost a frozen entity. They cannot impact on cause and condition. And that this is what the prasangic or the consequentialist point of view referred to as a mistaken identification of the object to be negated. And so here they point out that the other tenet schools kind of really let themselves down in this sense, and that they either have an overly broad refutation of refuting too much in terms of what the object of refutation should be, or they're too restricted in what they're refuting. They're not refuting enough when it comes to the object of negation.
잡채다데 교체 중국도와 가서는 진짜 거서도 다 친한게 최되게데 메시게 요마라 친한게 최다다 라왕게 두바 말했고 여러분도 라왕게 두바 뒤삼 요 말했고 여러분도 친한게 최되게 메시게 요마라 메시게 요마라 다 라왕게 마두바 임바 인자 아니 레사보사나 되고 야분용 그랬어 레니 바사나 되고 동행용 그랬어 라왕게 마두바 인자 남자한테 샤트고 여러분 다 라운드 좀나 남자들이 샤도 말와.
So the for example, the problem with an overly broad refutation of the object of negation is that one must conclude that all phenomena lack existence. So you kind of fall into that extreme exaggeration of what needs to be refuted. And so here this can is in turn refuted by understanding that all phenomena, internal and external, can legitimately exist without truly existing, without objectively existing, and that it's necessary. It's actually, in a way, proven that they exist because that they abide by the law of cause and effect. That if I generate a virtuous cause, I can expect a happy result, and if I generate a negative cause, I can expect a suffering result. And so this shows that the presentation of phenomena is tenable, whereas if one is trying to push or assert that self and phenomena are somehow objectively existent, that they have a true sense of true autonomous existence, then that precludes change. That there's no possibility of change, and so it invalidates, in fact, the law of cause and effect.
아니 교계 좀나 두개 그 시요 말와. 그 교계 좀 거도 그 라완의 두개 매바 따데 된 것도 봐. 라완의 두개 매바다. 딱 가자 좀제 야고 삼다 와이나. 아니 고주 싶어 싫도 와. 다 디마사 디자 우메 따와들 개치슈데 각자 녀에. 대바 좀나 근데 스토고 그랬어. 대바 요번에 근데 신고 그랬어. 디 좀제의 야고지 싶어이나. 디 돈다디 녀바이나. 녀바이나 오다 두다데 다 지금 배나 지금 야나 규제 야나 때네 딱봐 때네시면도 조사민도 삼사지 디 녀바이냐도 다 매도도 삼사 연구 말이야 디 녀바이냐도 다 여다데 때네 따바사마도 문도 삼삼치 딜레 셴 조사민도 야나 도와서 락다 당기나 차실라 때네 따바사마도 조사민도 삼삼치 요구로 와
So by establishing the emptiness of phenomena as having any objective or independent existence provides a basis for cause and effect, the validity of cause and effect, the tenability, that's the word, of cause and effect, that it works, in other words, on that basis, because things lack any objective or independent existence. And that if it was the opposite, that if things were established to be objective, existing objectively, truly or independently, and that would invalidate the workings of cause and effect. In other words, it would provide no basis for the process of cause and effect. Now this has something which is profound meaning when you think carefully on it. And it shows in a way that when we are in the middle way tenet system, that the identification of the object to be negated is of paramount importance. And we must try to really establish a conviction with regard to this. What is really meant by, when something is established in terms of its own on its own basis and so on, or is empty of being established in such a way. What is the way in which it exists? And so, from the point of view of phenomena existing independent upon their causes and conditions, is one way of looking at the way phenomena can validly exist, and in another way that they are existing in terms of their parts. They're being established in terms of their parts. It's kind of like a more coarse way of looking at it. And then the ultimate point of view, from the especially the consequentialist point of view, that phenomena exist in terms of their being established independence upon merely being imputed by thought.
다수를 가서 매주게 각자디 왜 좀바이나 아니 시라미고 된도 소매 다음에 뒤에 로메 레자메 세드 아니 고주셔부터 와
And so emptiness, that which is establishing what is non-existent, the object to be negated. When we read the Heart Sutra, and we see no form, no sound, no taste, no smell, and so on. Now, in the light of what we have just heard, such a reading becomes so much more profound, so much more subtle and deep. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. I am emptiness, emptiness, yeah. So it's the same, it's like when you put self in there. So I am emptiness, I am not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than me.
아니 가서 동반이 세도 아니 남자 지금 차실에 때는 좀 야나 가서데 때내 중아 때내지 고도했지 때내지 고도했지 때내 중아에서도 오 라고 좀 가서 뒤잡여 말이서 고도했지 동바디 땡중도 될 줘도 땡중도 동배 될 줘도했지 그랬다 동바디 때하고도 가서는 남자 땡중을 고아차에 고고 열해 동바스도 하다 가서 강가 매발에 서서 맞아 동바 세원도 동바니 슬라운도 남자 땡중을 올라 차트죠 다 때는 중앙에도 조사 요 말이야 선서 때는 중앙에 라도 다 유된 저거 짜니의 요만 동발이 상사적은 동발 대중 대주 동배 되는 저도 중앙 인만이나 아니 상계 좀 되고 공부도 할 남녀들 되고요.
And so, lacking any independent, objective existence, the emptiness, the emptiness that all phenomena arise in dependence, and just that, or emptiness that phenomena arise in dependence on parts. So that, when we say empty or when we say emptiness, it's we should not have the automatic image of a lack of existence or a void, but it should automatically bring to mind dependence, dependent arising, dependent origination. Because phenomena are arising in dependence, it is impossible that they have any intrinsic existence. That because they are empty of having any intrinsic existence, they automatically must arise in dependence. So they have this dependent origination. So it's really important to play off those two together to get a good idea of what is being inferred here.
Right.
And so, like the subject I lack any true existence because I am dependent arising or dependent origination. The subject all phenomena lack any true existence. Why? Because they arise in dependence, as dependent arisings. So it's very important to see this relationship, to see the reasoning behind it.
거에 좀 코알 못을 내가 유디가 들어온데 코알 못을 내 코알 탑에 유디가 들어온데 코알 타도 줘 되게 도와 로 하던 가라도 대도 용어 되게 되더라고 와 그 때문에 좋아 임바인자 아니 먼저 타바도 탑제 개바도서 칼레 자유도 고주도 와 단 코알에서 이제 내마도가 있나 탑이 가나 요 말이 되네 요태 요 말이 근데 대마 매바 인자 아니 저기 가서도 저 개왕한 집에 렌데에 타바다 탐지 캠퍼를 되게 이질레 도에서도 와 좀전 통도에서도 와
So, in a way, this doctrine, pervades all of our reality as denizens of cyclic existence. That itself, cyclic existence, lacks any true existence. It is not truly established. Therefore, if we create the causes to remain in cyclic existence, then it will remain our reality. If we create the causes to become liberated from cyclic existence, then we will be released from that reality. that in other words, the fact of reality itself, it enables change and transformation, and that when this is why we can make effort to attain the state of enlightenment, the state of omniscience, that because phenomena lack any true establishment, we have past and future lives, we have virtue and negativity, and that we have the more conviction we can gain, conviction in that, we can gain evidence that will give us the conviction in that, and it's very important that informs our practice.
당 먼저 뒤 오다 지금 가서 캐리도 먼저 근거에 유대의 좋아 말에 똑바 팔다 삼래서 먼저 캐들 링거를 배제가 로브 링버에 제제 잡두고 캐리가 이네 딜을 때는 마 삼로 땅자랑 제바체저 마 가서다 다도 좀나 근저스 두고도 아니 나한테 파 제바체는 아니 많이 받다가 랑갈 세미데 샤이트 게지 버려 근데 그냥 칭라베다 당 가서 가서다 규르고 남배철을 로브종에 또 제바 인상 그 칭라베다 싱글와 칭라베 심바상게 디큐트 배도모도 샘딩들라 다도 좀 제대되기도
And so, that's it's good that we can accept that on the one hand, phenomena, and particularly ourselves, lack any true existence, and that we are merely imputed by thought, and that but we must get beyond just the kind of like the word understanding, the simplistic understanding of this. And even though we are old students and so on, we heard this before, we have a rough understanding of what's being discussed, but we need to reflect on it, we need to analyze it, we need to actually apply it in meditations with regard to what we consider our own self-entity to be, and to really ask those questions, engage in that, to say, okay, this is what I think I am, let's analyze for that, search for such a self, and gain that point of view of not finding it, and then really asking the question then, okay, how do I truly exist? And to get beyond just the words and to really put it into action, because we can have a great intellectual understanding of this topic, but still hold strongly to this self-supported, self-established self within, without any change occurring.
Yeah, what the same thing they let go. Because was the same thing they la and it tadu to be da shende zinde ti they kujor te go do. They kujor techen. They kujor techen. And then gaso da do. Da they by some was yana yando toni ko la samlo tang toni ko shung to lo. Ya samlo tang. And it 그 삼로 땅전인데 제바전에 가서도 가봐도 대화도 동도 심지 탐지기도 산제 고마 두기 있어 나한테 근데도 나한테 근데도 제바체 뭐도 꾸노주도 심지 탐지 산제 고마 두기 좀 봐쇼 안 두기 설전 안데도 두기서 나한테 가봐도 제제 봐 저기 루기들 제제 셰베들 제제 봐 제제도 가서도 다 가봤어야 주는 예지 요마르바 많이 봤다가 랑가나 semtane 샤전 되는 샤전 다가 저 나라도 다도 주변 검지디 숙청보 요가자디 검지디 숙청도 땅잖아 다가 저디 뒷배 매버스에 쳐도다 야네 양도 삼보다 양 검잡 야네 양도 삼보다 검잡 야네 양도 삼보다 검잡자 근데 아니 다도 준비 맞아 검시 숙청부터 거 잡다 안 남시나 아니 랑슈게 아니 지금 나에다 맞아다 사마게 보다 유대는 좀 나한테가 나와다도 막 조여 말에 유대는 대상 영화서 나만 슈슈기 로를 차대 엔 지난 거 근데 나와 임바이나야 나와다가 마주바데 로 아니 차대지 다디 마용보다 다디지 영화 임바이네 영어서도 조사메가 찾으러 너무 깨사메가 찾으러 때때도 아니 차바이네 숙청의 저야 콘로이네 숙청의 저 세당이네 숙청의 저야 정도로 봐 차당을 로겨도 유의도 저가서도 지금 라마는 주가 숙청보다 제한 것도 와 이럴 때는 차당을 로겨 것도 와 도나지도 세고도 와 차당 라마는 주가도 숙청다 마 따도나 딜라드는 차다데 숙청도 좋대 친구도 봐. 요구도 받아.
So this this kind of really embedded notion of me, of I, of self, and that we have, and like really, deep down, this is what we need to get at. This notion that really I have independence, I have autonomy, I'm self-established in some sense. That our understanding, our knowledge, and our analysis, our meditation, our contemplation must get at this incumbent sense of me and shake it up. This is what's really important. And this requires consistent, persistent, analytical approach, that we are eroding as much as we can this very long-term habituated acceptance of a mistaken notion of who I think I am, who the I is, self is. We kind of have to reduce the foundations on which that is built, really. And so this is, really asking the hard question: where is this notion of self? Where does it abide? Look through the mind, look through the body, go through that meditation, arriving at a point where you don't find that which you think you're looking for, and to merely pause and in a fixed meditation try and abide in that mere voidness, that mere emptiness, that lack of what you have been looking for. So this is the process that which you really again and again slowly erode this strongly habituated sense of self, and to get the idea that yes, I appear in this way, but that is not the way I actually exist. I no longer accept that reality. I do not exist in the way that I appear. But then you say, how do I exist? And so what is the signs that this is working, that you are getting somewhere in terms of that, is that your mental afflictions are being reduced, and that you have less attachment, less anger, less ignorance, and that you are able to proceed in a way, and that you can recognize, and you can clearly see, for example, when anger arises, there's this very strong sense of me, of I, that you really feel I'm solid and correct. And so, that when you are getting somewhere with your meditation on emptiness, that these episodes of such anger and indeed attachment and anything else, that you don't buy into them as fully as before, and therefore they don't have the intensity nor the duration, and that's a sign that you are reducing the reliance that you have on such a self-established sense of identity. And it's very important that you are getting this kind of evidence and feedback from your meditation.
그래서 동반이 삼로당 안 고음점네 남주에 되자 숙충다 창당 숙충다 충다 저거도나 랑가 동반이 거에데 되다 고로 딱딱 좀 어쩌고 여러와 다티 멤버전은 뒤 좋아게 되게 문도나 너 되게 여러야나 건나 신고 요 말이야나 지금 너 되게 여러와 그 상거 요 말이.
So from your meditations on emptiness, that if you do subsequently notice that yes, your sense of attachment and anger and so on are very much reduced, you can really gain great confidence and joy out of that. That's great. That means that my particular focus spot on. But if you're doing your meditations on emptiness and you don't see any change, then you have to very quickly see that there's something mistaken in my approach. There's something incomplete in my analysis. That it's not having any effect on my mental afflictions.
먼저 나도 남주 검실라 먼저 출로를 빼 자주면 지도 어디 디데베 쉬운 요다고 그래. 되게 쉬운 요도 와. 먼저 출로를 자주면 제조라 지금 소소소시 왔다다 다 남주 다 계좌로 또또 연구를 되네. 디게 좀 맞지 맞지. 디돌 상로 쉬우 따이나 한 샘듀얼 요도 와. 샘듀얼 요도 와. 가서나 가서요. 피게 야고 제 맞제 피게 야 마야 라나 당고시나 랑생고 듀얼 가야 자와차기 요 말이야. 랑 셈 듀얼 랑기 배주지고도 랑고 중고고도. 그래.
That's and so you also have to kind of really watch this external judgment reflex that we have so strongly habituated to reacting to what other people or incidents happen or what other people say and do, that we should really see this is not that important anymore, that there isn't such a great connection between that and the job of what I have of really subduing my own mind and controlling my own mind. And so this is very important to recognize this, that this work that I have to do is an inside job. It's my own work, my own homework. It's not that connected with what is going on in the external world in a sense. So it's because we do tend to maybe waste a lot of time on that kind of stuff. Our own faults are very secret, but we love to expose the faults in others outside. That sort of way. Very quick. So in a way, that's very much wasting our own time, and also worse again, it's a great source of self-deception. We're fooling ourselves.
야고 통고도나 소소 레 상보시다 대화 차트기요. 소소 레다 대화 요래만도 소소 때 레다 대화 매게제 통해 거라 요 말이야. 좋아. 그래서 모두 섬도 소소 레를 대화 상 날레데 켈링을 요라고. 그래서 삼도 당문도 와. 미치가 야고 통고를 찍이 독자 통고 찍이 방마 통고도 와. 미콜 미치기로 와. 얘네 소소 레기 야르기 레기 대화 야르 미치 야고 통고도 미치기 독자 통고도 미치기 니톨 통고도 와. 소소 레기 통 소소 레기 들 깨지 시고 요 말이야. 미드 독자도 미드 지지도 세대요. 내가 소소 레다 대화 차대요.
So that's it's very important in that habit that we have to point a finger and to act as the kind of passing judgment on others, that we should try to reduce that as much as possible and replace it actually with love, with compassion, with closeness, affection. That also to see what the actual context of our opinions of others are based on, and it's based on our karmic perception. Really, that from a negative karmic source, we see another as negative, in a negative light. Another person, because of a good karmic source, they see them in a good light. They're a good person. A third person might see the same person as just neutral, nothing one way or the other. So it's rather than seeing our judgment as so inherently existent, actually we see that my impression is very much predicated on my own karmic perception. It's a good way of reducing the quick fire judgment.
어때 소소히 레데를 삼는 망하다나 다게 레 야고 사유 서마데 들랑게 두자리 통도도 다게 레 야고 사유 서마르선 지게 초사티 단지에다 어떤데 제발에 야그로 봐.
And so to reflect in that way, that it's a karmic issue here, and that if I'm seeing somebody very negatively, it's certainly something to do with my own karma. And how should I react? I should react by purifying my own negative karma and going about accumulating positive merit.
what did get you? 파조 강사 먼저 최초의 직전에 장주 선바의 직전에 산제 그래 직전에 말도 직방에 더 전 시야 맞도 말와 시야마다 딜레테는 소소 랭에 봤잖아 소소 용어라기도 와.
So it is very, very important because there's a great risk in this sort of judgment of others like that, because we don't know who they are. It could be a bodhisattva, it could be a Buddha, it could be just like us, and so we have to be very, very wary lest we accumulate a serious negative karma through negative judgments. So let's leave it there for today.
이제 다운도 거의 유대도 좀 맞아. 그리고 수부조사 요구서 저한테 그 제주도 이거부터 와. 키스도 피게 도서도 심해서도 피게 도서상사도 그 심해 문에도 가봐도 다 이제 저 가서도 낭잠다가 치바잖아도 그 심해서 그 샤사 줘다 얘는 그뒤 맞지 맞잖아. 근데 아니 지금 제가 봐 가서도 다 티치바 제가 줘도 아니 심해서 이거부터 키스도 이거부터 미스도 이거부터 와. 내가 또 과서 왔다디 간다 왔다디 동반이 있으다 라왕그 맞고 와서 왔다디 되지라 된다디 되지 고도 고요 왔다 고도 왔다 그 예요데 이래 뭐 라왕그 맞고 왔지 라왕 좀나 고 좁사들라 그 여사들라 제주도 니고보다 니고도 와 왔다 가서 다 라왕 좀바 매바디 가르쳐서 고 차실래 때는 좀바지 마 야나 또 파다서 이 맞지라다 니바 니 투레치 아니 지금 맨날 소소 모자 이네 다 가리 맨날 되잖아 지금 라왕 마주 같은 거 뒤에 지금 셈디 된다들 셈 예부전 그 뒤에 셈 예부전 상도 당도나.
So then the topic of emptiness, it's something that is suitable to reflect on at all times, and that is something that is to the fore of our minds at all times, and to really reflect on this in terms of ourselves, our home, our car, our pets, a dog, a cat, anything, like to point out that such and such lacks any objective existence. That if I analyze my pet cat and search for a truly existent pet cat, there I will not find that. And what does that show? Does that show a lack of any existence altogether? No. But how does it exist? It exists by merely, in terms of the parts of that cat coming together, or it is merely imputed by thought. And so it is sort of process of analyzing all phenomena in that sense, really establishing their lack of objective existence, and then how they actually do exist by merely imputed by thought. And so in terms of our car, our home, wherever we're at, whoever we're with, this analysis can be entered into.
가봐이네. 근데 쇼핑 센터 또 쇼핑 센터 미타만다 먹고 여러때 배 총다 잘라 다만다 먹고 되가 유대도 주반난 거 여다 나왔다도 주요 말이야 섭섭지 그 삼로 땅 뒤에 와. 삼로 땅 되는. 네. 커피 통이 삼로 땅 되는 와. 커피 통이 삼로 땅 되는.
In the shopping center with so much shops and so much stuff, that we can, and so many people are saying that we have all this stuff appearing to us anyway, and it's just this constant reaffirming or confirming that things actually don't exist in the way that they are appearing to me now, all of this stuff, and then reaffirming how they really do exist by being merely imputed by thought. Having your coffee the same way, you can analyze the coffee and say your whole process and so of taking the coffee again all of it is within the realm of emptiness, lacking any objective existence.
그래 때문에 쇼핑 센터 디왈치 디왈대 진야 소리 단 대변은 삼로도 좋다는데 그 뒤에 삼로 단 그거 또 그것이 나와 있는데 나와 되고 유대는 뭐 저거지 똑바로 팔다 잡으려서 유대는 좀 말해서 어다 그 뒤에 각자 각점들 삼로 단또 선배 샤들에 되게 있나.
And so we can apply this reflection anywhere where we're relaxing, or in the shopping center, or anywhere where we're at, and that to reaffirm that things do not exist in the way that they appear, that they are merely imputed by existence, and that to get to the point of the mere negation of the object of negation, doing that particular meditation is all. We can do this at any time.
그래. 그래서 쌤은 먼저 검시도 숙제부터도 먼저 검시 맞아 이제 뒤강한테 제대로 열봐. 검시.
So it's like this process of the habitual nature of consciousness, and that on the one hand, yes, it causes us great difficulty because we are so much a slave to our habits. But this is a process of establishing a new habitual attitude.
다 검시지 자, 아니 거치 레와 있는 아니 걸 렐라다 줘야죠. 가서 안 대가 될거 좀 세요. 될 잡된 참아요. 잡된 참아요도 고바 탐에도 배줘요.
And so that there's nothing that doesn't become easier through habituation. So the mind enjoys that sense of being habituated to a new way of thinking, a new reality, and so and also that this line of reasoning is based on a valid reasoning. It's supported by a valid reasoning, and as such, it can be developed fully complete and to its perfection.
어디 줘도 고바 탐에도 배줘래. 단생이 된도록 고바 탐에도 배고 거 잡든 참아요 말와.
And that is in contradiction to, in the reverse is true of the mistaken attitude of grasping at a self-entity that we have been so habituated to in the past. That is a mistaken attitude. It is not supported by valid reasoning, and so it can be nullified and eradicated. And it cannot. It will not. It will not kind of like increase exponentially, but can be eradicated.
그다음 맞아 교회에 가서 먼저 내 검지 잡아도 딜랭 예바니마도 안 뒤도는 먼저 슉 잡고요 말아 슉 맞아 맞아 슉 잡고 임바이나 안 가서 다음에 또 배시럽게라 렐라달라 가서 컴바타메도 배도 어떻게
So the problem for us is that we have become so habituated to this mistaken attitude because we haven't seen it as a fault initially. And so it's kind of like under the radar, so as it were. And so with identifying the problem and with a strong effort on our part, we can really not only reduce and erode the strong, habituated, mistaken point of view, but also we open the way for that wisdom to arise into our thinking as well.
동반이가 되는데 야네 삼는다. 니람나래 삼다도겠지. 니람나래 삼다도. 니람나래 삼다도나 니람도 남주 셈레 시라 차래. 니고에가 셈데 차도 두고요. 아니 그 삼다도가 있나? 근데 그 단지 머리 바람 녀석 차요. 셈도 차도 두고요. 봐.
With strongly habituated to the meditation on emptiness, it will eventually start to appear in our dreams, which is good news for us because our thinking, our consciousness is more subtle in the dream state, and thereafter we can really direct such analysis to more directly oppose and contradict the ignorance of self-grasping. And they have a kind of more ability to directly contradict because of the subtlety of the mind that's using it. And this is the process behind the development of meditative serenity as well, is to really kind of more definitely and narrowly, I guess, focus the power of one's attention to penetrate the ignorance and develop wisdom. So let's leave it there for today. And so that for John's upcoming operation, and that it will be successful, of course, and that there will be no obstacles and so on. It will be all turn out very, very well, and you recover very quickly. And we'll offer a mala of a medicine but a mantra.
Yeah, John Zamara, Zamulin, the Simjin never suing by it, and you can lay a tire down, and Zamulin because of the Chicago man to get there, and the side airport, the Mayo, Simja Sulin Pimba. Pemba Zamasa, Nella Pemba Zamata, Nomoto Suma 2 year pentoyana.
So that not just for John, but for all those who are suffering illness and who need to rely on medicine and so on for recovery, for their good health, that medicine will be both effective and that there will be no negative side effects to that medicine. But of course, not only that, but not just to kind of cure of physical ailments, but more specifically that all beings will be able to cure their mental afflictions as well. So the mantra Bekanza and Maha Bekanza, the Bekanza is medicine, and the Maha Bekanza is great medicine. And so with the former, it's this referring to or directed towards your physical ailment, but the Maha Bekanza is directed towards the eradication of the internal mental sicknesses of the mental afflictions, and that they will be eradicated along with their imprints.